This is the Impunity Observer podcast. Fergus Hodgson here, publisher of the Impunity Observer, and I'm excited today to explore the upcoming election in Ecuador and listen to the changing nature of Ecuadorian democracy. It's a country that's near and dear to me. It's where I first went to learn Spanish many years ago, and we have many of our team members located there too. So we have a brilliant lady with us today, Gabriella Guerrero. She is a political science instructor or professor at Universidad San Francisco University of Quito. Just to give people a little bit of background, the election is coming up in just 2 weeks. Is it February 9th? And we have Daniel Noboa, the incumbent, running for re-election after just a year and a half before in office because of a shortened term of his predecessor, Guillermo Lasso. Now, I'm always curious to know, because this election has basically flown under the radar internationally, what do you think an international audience should know that is not being reported on this? Because I assume that the typical exploration is just left versus right, but that really simplifies too much the complexity of what's going on the ground. So, Gabriela, thank you for joining us, and please share that, like I said, the what is missing from the international discussion.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here. Ecuador is very interesting because I think that we should part from the side that the world is turning to the right. I mean, what happened, for example, last year with European Parliament.
Sure.
This year, what happened with the election of Donald Trump, and that helped a lot in this campaign of Daniel Noboa's campaign, because he just gave us some political communication there that those messages are changing the view of some our voters. What that it means that, for example, when he arrived, I don't know, Donald Trump presidency, to see to meet all the people that were there, it was an important message to say, I am part of those leaders that are arriving. So that means that we're going to have a very good relation with the United States if I stay here at the government of Ecuador. Second important message, I will say, what happened with Petro this weekend.
It has been big news here in the United States. Yeah.
So that helps a lot. We use a lot of social media and, a lot of funny messages in that. So one of the messages that just went was, if you vote for Luisa, there is not going to be a way that you go to the United States after that, because you are not going to have the visa.
Okay.
That makes a lot of, thinking the people to vote well, what is convenient right now for Ecuador. I think that other important thing is what happened as well with one of the powers here in Ecuador, that we call it transparencia and control social. It's practically like citizen participation. There's a lot of correísmo, that means the left here in Ecuador, that was involved in that power. That power that does not allow that people from a political party participate. And that happened. That is unconstitutional. So that makes us think as well, like, okay, so if they don't win the election, they're trying to have at least the powers of the state. And that helps Daniel Noboa as well right now at the elections. So yeah, there's a lot of things that, at least here in January, make like a track and help the president right now to win that election. I just saw some of the numbers this morning, and we have like a 38% of people voting for Noboa, a 32% voting for Luisa. And it's interesting because to win an election here in Ecuador, you just need like the 40% and a difference of 10 points between both of the contests. 2 weeks later, Noboa can have the 4%. We don't have to get a runoff.
Yeah. Okay, there's so much to say there, and I really appreciate that little contextual explanation. So For people who are not familiar, yes, Luisa Gonzalez is the chief rival to the incumbent Daniel Noboa, and the term Correísmo comes from Rafael Correa, the former president and prominent member of the Bolivarian Alliance or 21st Century Socialism. I'm not sure whether the leftist is the right explanation. Like you said, it's a little bit of a socialism tailored to Ecuador. Or it's a local movement, and it used to be called the citizen movement. Is that correct?
Yes, it's like a revolution.
Citizen revolution. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Now, and you mentioned that Noboa has openly branded himself as aligned with the United States. Is that a Johnny come lately switch, or has he always felt that way?
It's interesting because here our political parties are not the same as the ideology of the person that represents that political party. So Noboa says with the rights, but the political party says is center left. It doesn't match, but he's clearly not from the left.
Okay, and the main issue from the outside looking in that I'm familiar with Ecuador is the challenges with one, all the electricity blackouts, and then just surging organized crime. Okay. Now, have those two issues been able to get through the noise of all the social media entertainment?
We actually have so many crises here in Ecuador
Okay.
that we just go with the flow as a way of saying it. They are important right now. The crises are not gone and they won't finish, but we live the moment. So the political moment right now is the elections, and that's what we are focused on. That means that right now the other things are not a news for us, which is good for the candidate right now. So it helps Noboa right now that we have light at this moment, that crime is controlled, and that is not like the big news right now in the country. So for us, the big news is how the international politics could help the candidates to grow or not in the elections and increase the citizens to vote for a candidate.
For mining stock recommendations, one newsletter I read is Global Analyst by Adrian Day, and I'm more than pleased to direct other people to his insights. Receive a 10% discount when you subscribe with the FERG coupon code. Go to adriandayglobalanalyst.com and click subscribe at the top right. You can also call the US phone number 410-224-8885 and mention the FERG code. That is adriandayglobalanalyst.com. You can also click the link below or in the show notes. Thank you. Luisa Gonzalez, has she spoken in support of Gustavo Petro and his conflict or attempt to resist Donald Trump?
I think that right now, I didn't hear like Luisa saying like telling more declarations or something these days, but I know that they are very careful when they give an interview, for example. We saw Luisa last week at CNN with Fernando del Rincón, and he made a very clear, clever question, telling her, "What do you think about democracy in Venezuela?" Because Edmundo Gonzalez came this week to Ecuador. So Rincón asked, "What do you think about democracy in Venezuela?" And she said, well, the citizens in Venezuela should decide if it is a democracy or not, which is weird because a week before that, Rafael Correa, he said, "I clearly support Maduro." So right now they are not given like a straight answer about those kind of topics that they know is not going to play in a right way in Luisa's election. And because I don't know if you know that, but this week, Daniel Noboa invited some of the most popular, faces in the Correísmo to meet with Edmundo Gonzalez in a lunch, and they said, oh, they all say no. So that as well, Daniel Noboa, he knew that they were going to say no.
Okay, so just for people, there's a lot of inside baseball here. Fernando Rincon is one of the most prominent Spanish language journalists. He's Mexican and is a presenter for CNN in Espanol, and it does a lot of excellent work, actually. So, and he basically cornered, and not only did he corner, but as you said, Noboa cornered this Correísta alliance into taking a stance on Venezuela, and they have resisted. Although, of course, we know that they are favorable. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the assumption is that they are aligned with the Venezuelan regime. And just like Gustavo Petro, when he was running for president of Colombia, did not openly state that he was a friend of Chavez or anything like that. But it was pretty clear that that would be the outcome. Now, I have here that the Central Bank of Ecuador has estimated 250,000 job losses in 2024 as a result of the energy crisis. Now, I know you say this is maybe a slow-moving crisis, but are people leaving? What can they do about this? You say if they're just losing jobs, are any other sectors opening to take them? What has been the consequence of such a massive job loss era?
It's interesting because we actually don't have a lot of information of that, or is not, again, is not in use right now. Um, so what I really think is that people hopefully think that with the alliances that we're having with governments that have similar ideologies, we can have more invest in the country and we can have more projects. So it is not the first time that Ecuador is in the same place. It's very cyclical what happens here in Ecuador, and it's very interesting. That's why a lot of people do or try to create their own opportunities. I think that is what we are doing right now. Um, it's also very interesting that the government is trying to make or to bring different strategies to create jobs. A lot of technology, a lot of AI, it's coming to the country as well. We have an alliance with Google for crime, for example. So there's a lot of new places that you can try to work in, but it's not right now one of the offers. And it's interesting, but because it is not one of the topics that most of the candidates are talking about. You should think that in an election, that is going to be one of the topics that should be on the table, and you should be.
Usually the economy is the big ticket item. Yeah. And I have here too that there's already been a murder in this campaign cycle. How much emphasis is there on just the security of the candidates?
I think it's not as shocking as it was in the anticipated elections that we have in 2023, because, yeah, Fernando Villavicencio was killed. This election, it was like calm in that way. I won't say that we don't have like crime going through the country, but again, is not the main topic that we have in the country right now. So everything here in Ecuador moves across what we should focus on again. Right now, crime is not of the main topics. Employment is not one of the main topics. Electricity should be one of the main topics.
Let me just clarify there, just so I don't mislead anyone. In this month, we're doing this in January 2025. A mayor has been murdered and a congressional candidate kidnapped. Okay, so but maybe people have become a little bit accustomed to that now.
Yes. I don't want to sound, yeah, I don't want to sound like critical on that, but it's part of, we call it normalización, like we just live with that. We are used to it. And why I say that, because most of the people that sometimes are related on those killings are part or being part of this organized, like this crime, this international crime. I cannot say that people that are killed right now are part of the crime, but most of them have been involved in that. So for now, most of the investigations that are done, you can see that they are related in some way. That's why people said, okay, you have a lot of cities that have this red alert, but most of them, if something happened in that city, should be to the people that are related to those kind of criminal organizations, which is brutal. It's totally brutal.
Okay, and you touched upon, let's say, the integrity of the electoral system and some parallel institutions being taken over. Now, I was actually just reviewing an article I wrote years ago about the election of Lenin Moreno, when there was a high degree of evidence, and many foreigners believed there was a theft or a fraudulent. There was chicanery in that election that kept Guillermo Lasso out the first time. Are there international observers? Do you believe there's more transparency now? Are there fears that there could be another theft of the election? Even though Noboa is empowered, is he the one who actually has sway among the Electoral Council?
Maybe a couple of months before I would say no. And I have to be honest, I would like to say I'm not sure. I am a national observer this year for the elections. Um, there are some stuff that Noboa have been doing in the country that could make us believe that if it is necessary to take the I'm sorry, the electoral power, he can make that because of those things that he made before. I'm not saying that he's not constitutional or he's going to take that power, but I would say it would not be like impossible to believe. Right now, I would like to say that we have transparency because of the information that we have. You can see the growth that Daniel Noboa is making right now with all the steps that we already talked about, and that put him as the favorite candidate right now. So if he right now have that 38% is because of all the actions that already he has on his back. So right now we can say that we have transparency, but um, we have that doubt, not only with Noboa, in general in our country, because it's not the first time that you are in an election that happened in Lenin Moreno election, and then the light is gone, and then those if you have, I don't know, 38, then you probably have 45, and you say, how does it happen? The light went off, and then everything changed. So I don't think we are in a critical situation like in that epoch, but there is a doubt in the Ecuadorians citizens that we don't have trust on institutions. I think that the Latin Barometer in 2023 asked about the institutions, and the electoral institution have around 14% of confidence.
Is there a lingering sense that there was foul play in that election? Was that 2019 or in the election of Moreno?
Yes, it was 2019. No, 2017, I'm sorry.
2017. Among the Ecuadorian people, is there lingering doubt about that election?
Yeah, we actually made movements, social movements. Everybody went to the streets. They tried to do something.
Right. Okay. We've been speaking with Gabriela Guerrero, and she is a political science professor at the San Francisco University of Quito, and she has a wonderful social media presence. Her website is lapoliteca.com, and that's Teca with a K, and she's also lapoliteca_EC for Ecuador on Instagram. And I appreciate your time, and we'll be doing more coverage of Ecuador as the day approaches to the election. So thank you for your updates.
Thank you so much again. It was such a pleasure for me to be here.